So I probably will repeat some of what's been said already. I think the points Helen was making are really important because they're kind of the core of what Storyful does every day. So to give you a sense of background, like Suzy, I'm a blogger, long-time blogger, approaching my first decade blogging. The blog that I'm running now is centered on obtaining information, which is, I think, rather than talking about how things are put out and how things are published, I think it's more important to talk about what journalists do. So to me, I would define journalism as a process of obtaining information, processing and analysing information, and publishing information or disseminating information. And if that's what journalists do, then there's nothing has changed. It's the who, what, when, where, why, how. That's the core issue. How do you do it and what do you do? So the idea that new media, no media exists, I think is counterproductive in a way to talk about that. The real issue is how do journalists manage information? And if it's on Twitter, if it's on Facebook, if it's on YouTube, if it's a document that's 20 years old, if it's something you've obtained under FOI, it doesn't really matter. It's all information. It's all information that needs to be managed and analysed and then disseminated to a wider public. Because that's what journalism at its core is about, checking who, what, when, where, why, how. And the information is almost neutral. If you watch a video from, and this is what Storyful does every day, watching video from Baba Mir and Homs, is that from Baba Mir and Homs? Who uploaded that video? What part of Baba Mir is that? Is that the mosque that is in this satellite photograph that's in this video? Yes, it is. Yes, I've now established the where of that question. Can I establish the when? What was the weather like in Homs yesterday? What's the weather like in Homs today? Is it raining today? Can I check the video to see? I'm checking a whole variety of assets and information flows to check information. So if you can answer as many of those questions as you can remotely, great. If you're dealing with a more static type of information, if it's a document, where did I get it? Who sent it to me? How did I obtain it? What's the provenance of the information? And then how do I construct an analysis of that? I'm almost neutral on the way it's distributed. If it's distributed online, on television, on newspaper, kind of I'm neutral. It just goes somewhere. But it's shared and it's disseminated and people read it and people are informed through it. So I think the first speaker's talk, I think I agree with Hugh to some degree. I never envisaged the internet as a kind of a great leveler of world kind of civilization or as the global population coming together. And I think there was a sense that I wrote it down as well as kind of a straw man argument. I'm not really looking at it like that. In a way, the internet and social media is a reflection of the society in which we live anyway. People say things, people talk about things. I watch the Late Late Show hashtag and people go crazy about certain things that are said in the Late Show. And in a way, that's enriching the experience, not negating it. I mean, I'm always conscious that social media, I think it should just be called media, is a powerful resource. And I'd really encourage people to listen to what Helen said there on that, because essentially how you manage this is going to be even more important in the next 5 to 10 years for journalism, because we're watching a data explosion of streaming information. 8 years of video is uploaded every day to YouTube. It's approaching 300 million tweets a day globally. It's 250 million photographs to Facebook every day. How do journalists manage that information? Again, it's the same question. How do you manage it? How do journalists manage information? How do you analyze it? How do you parse it? And then how do you represent it to an audience? And if there's one big challenge coming to journalism, is how do you do that? We're struggling at the moment trying to manage so many information sources. If it's Flickr, if it's YouTube, if it's Twitter, how do you manage monitoring thousands and thousands of people? And that's a big challenge, and it's just going to get bigger. So big data problems, data explosion problems are just some of the things that I think will dominate journalism. And also the idea that I think one of the core issues that stems from that is the process, i.e. what are the skills that journalists are using now? What skills do they need to use in order to leverage all of this information that's coming out? And how do you then act on it? But again, the core question is still the same. It's just because it's called data or just because it's called Twitter doesn't mean anything. It's still information. So you just manage it the same way. Who, what, when, where, how, and you just go from there. And that's your first question. And I think I'll keep my talk brief because I'm the last and I know we're over time. But effectively, if that's the way journalism is going, I think it is. And it's to be neutral about information as such. Its source, is it digital, is it not, it doesn't matter. It's about how you manage it, how you analyse it, parse it, and represent it. Leave it at that.